Hi internet people. So, if a tree falls in the forest, according to Deidre Gardner, it makes a sound. Okay, so this video is all about the Night Vale Presents podcast, It Makes a Sound. So, yes, I did a podcast last week, but I was listening to a lot of podcasts at work. This podcast actually led me to the Polybius conspiracy podcast I talked about last week. So if you haven't watched that video, you should also watch that one. But It Makes a Sound from Night Vale Presents is all about this woman named Deidre Gardner. She's running this sort of radio show from her attic, and she wants to share her love of Wim Faros, the famous musician, with all of the world. So when you first start the podcast, it actually feels like Wim Faros is probably someone you should know about, or he's a well-known artist, or maybe one of those indie artists that only performed in like a few cities or states, or he only does like underground stuff. But the farther it goes along, the more we start to see that maybe Deidre does not have the best handle on her memories, or maybe how other people perceived what was going on. So Deidre has this cassette tape, and it's called the Attic Tape, and it was recently discovered, and it's full of music from Wim Faros' first performance at the clubhouse at a golf course. Well, to her, this is a huge deal, because the golf course is where she lives. It was at a birthday party she was at when she was younger. It's a huge thing, but she can't play the cassette tape yet. When it first starts, she does not have a cassette player, which is so interesting. I actually have one in a cabinet. I do. It still works. But she can't play the tape, so she keeps talking about Wim Faros and sharing things about his life. Like, there's a mural in his room and details the mural, and then talks about a Halloween where she saw him, and then tries to explain the music on the tape because she can't play it. Beyond that, we also meet her mother, who's living with her and does not seem to be okay. I think she either, the idea of her mother is that she has Alzheimer's or dementia of some kind, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But something is going on there, and Deidre is taking care of her, and there's just something going on with that, which is interesting, because sometimes we hear her mother and Deidre doesn't, or sometimes her mother will like sneak in and we'll hear her and she'll talk, and it's recorded, and it's so intriguing. But in a recent episode, Deidre left the attic to go talk to someone from her past. And while she was talking to her, we were revealed that things from the past may not be how Deidre remembers them at all. And it's so intense to hear that her perception is different than others' perceptions, and that maybe what you're hearing from her is not true, that maybe Wim Faros isn't who she thinks he is. It's all very cool, because the point of view that we're getting is hers, but as soon as more points of view are added in, it starts to skew your perception of what she's talking about. There's also an adorable character introduced named Cody, who is like 10 years old. He has no idea what a cassette tape is, and my favorite scene so far has been him trying to understand what cassette tapes are. It was the greatest thing ever, because I'm like, oh, I could see not understanding how that was a big deal when we used cassette tapes all the time. I had so many. I had like 50 cassette tapes in an old purse. Yes, like an old, like little old lady purse that I would listen to on car rides when I was a kid. But it's so cool, and I'm very interested. I know I'm filming this a little early, so an episode should have just come out that I have not listened to yet, but it's been so cool, and Deidre's character is so emphatic about her love of Wim Faros that it's just so interesting. Like, it's basically like listening to someone's obsession, and so it's just so intriguing. You should definitely check it out. You can find it on the Night Vale Presents site. You can also find it wherever you find podcasts. I use Stitcher because I listen to a lot of podcasts at work, and I also don't have an iPhone, so I frequently don't use iTunes just because it's easier to not use iTunes on my phone. But you should definitely check out It Makes a Sound, learn what's going on. There are also some crazy peacocks, like feral peacocks running around, and you hear them, and there's like really cool audio stuff that happens with them. But yes, definitely check out It Makes a Sound. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at ClefNotes, on my blog, clefnotes.wordpress.com. I write for the Nerdy Girl Express, thenerdygirlexpress.com, and I'm on their Snapchat, the Nerdy Girl EXP. Bye, internet people.